Welcome to another episode of Soaring to Success, Business A to Z. Today I want to address a topic that all my students ask me about, and especially the ones in entrepreneurship and innovation. All my clients, when I do consulting, especially small businesses, they all want to know about money, how you secure it, how you get investors, how you pay people back, if you pay people back. So I want to cover a few of those things in this video. One, if you're just starting out and you have an idea, the easiest people to get money from, obviously, is yourself and those around you that you love, your family, your friends, and so forth. Just be warned that quite often money becomes the root of relationships breaking up. I don't just mean marriages, I mean friendships, siblings, parents, children. It can cause a lot of distress. So you got to set the ground rules out very clearly. Say, mom, dad, sis, bro, you can lose all this money you're giving me. I want you to know that right now. Are you good with that? And as a matter of fact, if your idea is such that you go to venture capitalists or you form a limited partnership, and let's say you have 100 people, you have 20 people, each one putting in $25,000. They have to be the type of investors who can lose that money, whether it's $25,000 or $250,000, and they sign documents stating that, and they go through a vetting process in that sense. So you have to vet the people you're getting money from, your friends, your relatives, yourself. You have to ask yourself, can I invest $500, $5,000, $50,000, and risk that and be okay with it? The first thing that you have to think about when you're spending your own money, or especially that, or other people's money, you got to ask them the same thing. Are you risk adverse, or can you deal with risk? And if you can deal with risk and you believe in your product or service enough that you feel that the return is worth it, then you take the chance. And believe me, as you know, if you've watched the former prior videos rather, or you've checked out my website or whatever, I owned a company called 4 Eyes, and it started with $1,000, and I had this idea. I never knew that it would grow to be an international company. So for me, I was very cool with it. Actually, I had no money, so I got $500 from my brother and $500 from a friend. And with that $1,000, I started that company. And I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that they could win or lose with that $1,000 or their $500 a piece. So that's the first thing you do. You go to your friends, your relatives, your family members. Unless it's something where you think, and you've already put in $50,000, $100,000, $20,000, you want to go a bigger route. You look for an angel investor, someone who can afford to put in the money you're looking for, whether it's $1 million, $100,000, whatever it is, and again is not risk adverse, and is a qualified investor. Or you go in front of venture capitalists and they will ask you for very specific things. You'll need a deck. A deck is what some of us call a PowerPoint presentation, but with financials and so forth in it. And it really looks like, if you put it together, a deck of cards. Each PowerPoint is part of the deck. It's a card in the deck, so you have to, or you print it out. You have to bring it to people and explain, stand up and tell them why what you're doing is worth their investment, and give them projections for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Tell them, explain to them why you may lose money for 2 or 3 years, or why you're going to make money in the first year. Whatever the case is, don't be overly optimistic. If you're going to be optimistic, have one set of figures that is conservative, one that's realistic, and one that's optimistic all the way through. Because believe me, investors are not naive. They're going to be a little more conservative. So once you do that and you explain that to them, you have to then tell them how they get out of the deal. Some of them may want to stay in, but you got to remember, most people say, well, I'll give you, if you watch Shark Tank, I'll give you 20% for $500,000 and I'll keep 80%. A lot of times your investors may say, no. We want 60%, we want 50%. And as the money comes in, we want first out. We want to get our money out first, after profits, after salaries, and so forth. And then we will reduce our equity once we're paid back. We may reduce our equity to 10% or 20% or whatever. We want to stay in. We're taking a risk. Or in 5 years, we want to get completely out. And here's the formula we want. So you have to make the formula very attractive to people who are investing. There's other routes. There's the Small Business Administration. Small Business Administration can loan lots of people who are starting businesses or growing business, and the definition of a small business is different than you may think. You may look at a business as being a little big for your aspirations, but the government and the banks may view them as a small business, even though they may have 50 employees or sometimes 100 employees. Normally we think of a startup or 5 or 10 people, but you can go to a bank and you may be rejected by 2 or 3 other banks, and then you go to the SBA. The SBA technically doesn't loan money. They guarantee the money that you're borrowing, so up to a certain percentage from the bank, so the bank mitigates their risk. You can do that. You can look for grants from different organizations. Ethnic organizations may have a certain pool of money that they loan to people starting up their businesses that are a member of their ethnicity or their religious group or whatever. They may have low interest loans. By the way, SBA is towards the end of the low interest loan range. So they may have that. Look for scholarships, or look for partnerships, or look for, and I'll get back to that in a minute, but look for opportunities, grants. You can write up a grant, especially if you're a nonprofit organization. If you're starting that, that's a whole other story. But if you're a for-profit company, you still may be able to get grants, depending on what you're doing. But go into the ideas of searching for all sorts of monetary venues where you can get money. Be open to new ideas and be open to partners. Now, I talked about limited partnerships and so forth, but most people who start business, sometimes they think, well, this is my baby and I don't want to give it up, and I don't want to have a partner who's going to cause problems. And I've had partnerships, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But the fact of the matter is, it's always better to have someone who complements you, someone who knows what you don't know. A lot of entrepreneurs think they know everything about the business, but in reality they don't. So if you're great at selling and you're not great at technology, you may say, listen, I don't have a lot of money now, or we're a startup, would you take the risk of getting 20% of this business, 50% of this business? You handle that, I'll handle this, we'll build it together. But let's have ground rules, so that the ground rules state what happens as your business grows. And that's very important. So you know that. Who takes on the monetary risk at the beginning? Maybe it's both, maybe it's one person, so forth. How they get paid back for that. So there's all kinds of nuances in getting money. Remember, work with your family, your friends, your relatives, but outline the guidelines and the risks involved. Look for angel investors. Look for government. The government has certain grants. The government has certain programs for minorities and women for low interest loans or grants. Look, as I said, for angel investors, for venture capitalists. There's all kinds of places that you can get money. But the first person you should look for the initial capital is yourself, so that you can show people, listen, I've done this with practically nothing, or I've put in 5,000 or 10,000 or 1,000 or 2,000, and I've gotten the ball rolling, and I've put in a lot of sweat equity. This is all about equity. Who has the equity in the business? And that's the shares, basically, okay? Who owns the business? Well, a lot of people, they don't have a lot of money. They put in a little bit of money they have, but they put in a lot of sweat equity. And that is definitely worth something. So there's all kinds of ways that you can get money, you can get equity, you can build your business and retain your ownership in one form or another, and build your business. Build your business with partners, build your business with money, build your business with time and energy. I hope I've given you some guidance in the monetary aspect of business. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Take care, and I look forward to your comments, your questions, and your opinions. Take care. Thanks. Bye.